Hello. So here's something that I think needs to be said before the vote for either a government shutdown or not. So, in my opinion, a government shutdown would be for the best. For one simple reason it forces a confrontation. Because the only way that Trump really has to do any of the things he does is with money. Musk doesn't have that money. All of his money is in stocks and stuff to avoid taxes. He doesn't have that money. Like, he'd spend it all on scams. His son doesn't have that money. His wife doesn't have that money. Nobody in his administration actually has the hard money to pay people to do their dirty work, which is really important when you remember how many MAGA people are turning because they are no longer getting paid. Exactly how many do you think are going to stay and continue working for Trump when they stop getting their paycheck? Because, yeah, Trump can declare certain businesses, certain sections of the government as essential and say, yeah, you got to work without pay. How many workers are actually going to do that? And how many are going to say, no, screw off. You want us to work? Pay us. I think they're going to find that the majority, like maybe a week, maybe two, but the longer it stretches on, the more people are going to say, no, no, we won't work until you pay us. And there's a second thing that I've heard fears of. What if Trump takes this opportunity to dissolve Congress and pull a Hitler in Germany? That is a valid fear, but it's a fear with a very big asterisk. And that being, if he does that, there will be war. Like, I say this with absolute certainty, there will be riots on the streets. There will be people shooting up pretty much everything related to Trump or Musk or anything vaguely Republican because, well, for the exact thing that they manifested, people's identities are now tied to democracy. Now, this is not a good thing, in my opinion, because it makes actually having a discussion basically impossible. But it also means, and Trump's going to find this out the hard way when he tries to pull a dictator thing, in the same reason why it's impossible to tell MAGA and people like that these things are going to hurt you, that they are being lied to, because to them, any challenge to MAGA is a challenge to them personally. They're going to find Trump and Musk and a lot of his cronies, just said cronies and toes at the same time. Anyway, they are going to find that a lot of people, both outside and more importantly, inside their own collective group, have staked their identities on being Americans, on being the land of the free. We are Americans. We do not bow to dictators. And they are going to find, when they inevitably attempt to stop a vote to not allow democracy, which is stuff I have the same fears about, when they attempt to do that, they are going to find people are not willing to back down. People are not willing to comply. People are going to say, come get some. Let's see you try, you orange git. And next I'm going to hear people saying, oh, but he has the military on his side. There's another issue with that, of like saying, what if he gets his supporters to get armed as well? How many people are going to die? And there's an issue with that. With him saying that he will use martial law or any kind of fear like that. That being, let's be generous, and I'm being so generous to Trump, and say he has 77 million. That every single person who voted for Trump is willing to pick up a gun, join the army, and fight for a dictator. That absolutely none of them are gonna say, no, I'm not cool with that. That every single one is willing to do that. And no, they really aren't. We're already seeing that a lot of them aren't. But let's be extremely generous to Trump and assume that he is going to be able to pull the wool over their eyes for a second time in a much, much worse fashion. You know what? You know something that the media really, really doesn't like bringing up? That is a third of the country. A third. 77 million. That is nothing. Seriously, think about it. Because there won't be a let's sit back and let's not get involved faction like there are in elections if this becomes a war against fascism, which is what would happen if they were to try to become a dictator. Because, yeah, no one in this country is going to be just sitting on the sidelines. It is going to be war. And then you run into the issue of they have a third. The other 2/3 are going to be fighting you. And something that Trump is going to learn the hard way is, unlike him, we have things we are willing to die for. We have things that we do not care if we get shot. We do not care if we get gassed. We do not care what you do to us because we are willing to die for democracy. We are willing to die to keep our home a safe place. We are willing to die for our brothers and our sisters. And they are not. Trump is not. Bone Spurs got the chance to fight for our country. He said, oh no, I got bone spurs, I can't fight. Elon Musk, the reason why he has a Canadian citizenship, because he wanted to avoid fighting for his country. They are cowards, and they are going to find that they do not have the numbers. They simply do not have the number of people courageous enough to fight and die. And another thing that I think is very important to remember is this. Trump has made an enemy of all of our allies. Canada hates us, Mexico hates us, Britain hates us, France hates us, Germany hates us, Poland hates us. Everybody who used to be our ally now hates us because of Trump. And all he has gained from that is Russia and North Korea. So, like, what if he calls allies for help and gets them to send soldiers and stuff? And just, like, small problem with that. Russia has been getting their ass kicked for 3 years by Ukraine. It's something that's not often brought up in the main media. I don't fucking know why. I do think it's very important to mention. The things that Ukraine have been getting are 40-year-old tech. This is military stuff that is about to be dismantled that we sent over to Ukraine because it's cheaper to send it over than it is to dismantle it ourselves. It is cheaper to use it against those Russian soldiers, for lack of a more child-friendly term, than it is to just dismantle it. Like, dismantling it is just more expensive. So we send it over. And so it runs into the issue of, the hell is Russia gonna do when America devolves into civil war? Are they gonna send troops to support Trump? They can't even take Ukraine, and you expect them to be able to field enough troops to support a guy who has absolute best a third of the country willing to die for him, which no, they're not. There is no way all 77 million are willing to fight for Trump. But again, we are being extremely generous to the wannabe dictator. And here's the second thing, like, oh, North Korea, they can't even afford food. The fuck they gonna do? Like, I'm sorry, no, you're not a threat, North Korea. You're weak. Putin is weak. Russia is weak. And as a final note, the reason why I am, some would say, happy, not happy, I really fucking wish it doesn't happen, but I trust that we would win a fight, a violent conflict. And I trust that. Whatever. And I trust that because we saw what happens when it comes democracy versus MAGA. January 6th, they tried to overthrow the government with violence. And they failed. They tried, and they failed. And they will fail again, and again, and again. This will not be the generation democracy dies. And they are going to get a nasty surprise if they keep on this path. So stand strong in the Senate, stand strong in the House, stand strong on the streets, stand strong in your homes, stand strong wherever you are, because we are the side of democracy. We are the side of the people. We are the side of everything that is good and right in this world. And dictators like Trump, like Putin, like Kim Jong-un are going to learn exactly how weak they are.